So Sedona, being a place that is called sacred, has been used in that way for long periods of time, and there are signs from different periods all over, some of them visible, some of them invisible. And today we go to a place that is expressing that sacredness, you can say, which is what you call more visible. And it is in this wall that you see here. And let's see whether we can get it a little bit closer that you can see better. That's the ruin that we're going to visit to help you to understand how people in the past used the gifts of Mother Earth to really connect with her, but also to use it as a part of the spiritual path. So we have arrived at the ruin complex that we saw from down. And as you can see, it's a complex that is comparatively rather expensive. Consists out of a number of rooms. The walls are in different condition. You see the wall in front here that is just a little bit of a rubble, if you can say, partly rebuilt. Well, you see also a wall where the old mud is still on. This complex has, you say, again, the two aspects that is very typical for what we see with a lot of indigenous people. It has the connection with the earth energies, and it has the connection with what they call the ancestors, which means the connection with portals. In this particular clip, we will focus mainly on the earth energy connections. So we go through the 4 rooms in this particular complex, and then we walk a little bit farther, and there is one other cave-like room that has also a small ruin in it, and we will look at the connections that the Sinagua had with the earth energies. The only thing I like to share with you is that this whole complex has a very strong connection with the constellation of Orion. There are many other portals that are connected with this whole system, but that's not for, you can say, this particular clip, as I said. So let's move to the first room and see what that room is offering. And I will walk over and go into, see if we can go around here. And maybe it's good to see the complex and the way it is. I will go down here, and you see we are pretty high. And you've seen how high it was in the particular rocks. You see in the background a little cave. Well, let's go back to the ruin. And then you see here the first room. That is this particular room. It looks like nothing, so to speak. It is a lot of water and growth. But this room holds a vortex that is resonating with one of our meridians. And in this case, it's the meridian that we call the small intestine meridian. And the small intestine meridian is an interesting meridian because it is connected to our small intestine. And although in general people say it's the pretense, but it also holds the energy of selection. Our small intestine is a selector. It selects what is good for us and what not, and we pass that on. But that's also true for the emotional level. And that seems to be important for the Sinagua. And if you realize that the small intestine is in the area of the second chakra, and if we move to the next room, the room that you see here, this room actually holds the second chakra. So they've made this 2-room annex. The second chakra is the place of the chakra that helps us to relate to the world in all its aspects, not only relationships, all its aspects. And it is a room that later has been used. You see that people have made a fire here. And the wall is an outer wall that's still intact. So they selected those two energies, but this is not all that they have selected. We are going now, and I will stop to be able to walk, because otherwise I may trip over stones. Maybe I can continue. Let me see whether that works. So there's a little door here. So we go through this door. And then we walk to this particular room here. There's a door here, and you can say a corridor. We can put our backpacks there. You're not supposed to do that, but then we can go around to this room. But this is the room that we are now going to enter. And while in the second chakra room there was also a portal, but as to one of the stars in Orion, this one doesn't have a portal. It has almost a nice bench that you can sit on, and this room holds the root chakra, the first chakra. The root chakra that helps us to feel safe, feel accepted and belonging to this world that we live in. Very, very important chakra. It's very, very powerful. There are different chakra vortexes, and this is one of the very, very powerful one. And I'd like you to see the view that you have when you sit here and meditate. I love to sit on this particular stone, and just that little, and then when you go over it, you have this beautiful view. While I meditate, I have my eyes closed, but if I open them, there is this awe of this wonderful place with these wonderful energies. So let me go back, go through the door again. Just pretend you don't see the backpacks. And then we see this wall, and on this wall there is like a snake-like figure. Over most of the length it becomes weaker and weaker. And then we go through this particular corridor almost. And then you see there's this room here that is separated. It is not connected to the other structures. And here we come to the doorway. And the interesting thing of the doorway is that it still has the original mud, and as you can see it's smaller and then it gets wider. So this is pretty high, as you can see. And if you enter this room, you enter basically in the place of the third chakra. The third chakra, or the solar plexus. And this is my favorite place. I can sit here for hours and hours. So let me go to the corner here. And you see that this wall has still a lot of the original mud. And you see here the room. If you would like to really sit and meditate on the solar plexus, this is a moment that you can pause this clip and just sit in the energies for a little while. And of course you can do that also with the previous ones. You can go back to it, click on the stopper button and simply sit in the energies. This particular room holds also energies that connects it to a completely different complex, and that's a complex that I haven't studied yet. Something for the future. But let's go to this place. This is how I like to sit, and you cannot see, but this is the doorway, and through the doorway you see a rock, and that rock is another important point in the system where this is part of, this complex is part of. There are many lines that connect systems with systems with systems in this very sacred area of Sedona. I'm going to pause it now. No, I can maybe walk a little bit farther. You see now better the view again. And now we turn around the corner, and you can see just in the distant rock that little cave. I'm going to walk there and pause this now. So you have now a better view of that cave, and that cave holds another vortex, a chakra vortex, and it is the 7th chakra. So the basic message is that when you are grounding deeper in the physical reality through chakra 1, 2 and 3, you will be far more open for the 7th chakra, the spiritual connection. That's one of the messages that the Sinagwa want to give with this complex. It also opens the door for better connection with the ancestors. But that is a complete different story, and that is not for now. There's only one thing I like to show you before we end this particular clip. So let's walk a little bit farther. You see the little wall there? If you would pass that wall, in the past you could walk around and then basically go to that particular place. That's not possible anymore because erosion has made that little walkway now pretty dangerous. So the little wall that you see here is like a separation. If you have properly prepared by going through your chakras, the lower 3 chakras, 1, 2 and 3, you are ready to truly connect with the higher spiritual energies through the 7th chakra. That is the message of this beautiful, beautiful complex. So walking back, we now can look at the whole complex from a different direction. And you can see that the one that's in the foreground, which is again the one that holds the sacral chakra, the 3rd chakra, is still an original wall with mud, and that the front wall is partly rebuilt later. It's really beautiful, this area. But the key point is that for the people in the past, every place was sacred, but they used certain energy to create specific places where they could do their spiritual journey and a deeper understanding of themselves.